Okay. So you know that we have started with the fifth module. I told you that there are three main topics in this fifth module that we will be dealing with. The first one we have already done, that is based on network programs, in which we studied what is a network first, then we studied about socket programming, and then we studied about URL-lib, how to request a URL from a server. And using this URL-lib, we saw how to download text information and then image information. Okay, and then finally we studied one built-in library of Python called as Beautiful Soup, using which we can download HTML. We can do web scraping. Okay, that we have seen. And then we started with the second part of the fifth module, that is using web services. In web services, I told you what is a web service. I said that on the internet, there are some servers which provide you some sort of a service. The service can be very, very simple, and it can be more complex, and it can be more useful. In a simple example, I gave you an example of adding two numbers. We have to pass to the service some parameters, and then the service will basically add the two numbers and send you the sum of the two numbers as a reply. That is only a simple example. I give you more complex and useful examples of web services, where I give you an example of getting the stock price of a company by passing the name of the company as parameter to the service, and the service will give us back the current stock rate, share value of that company. So this is a little more useful web service. Then I also gave you an example of a service to which you have to pass a photograph as a parameter, and then it matches your photograph or whoever's photograph it is with all the photographs, and then give you all the matching photographs from the internet. These are only some examples. And then I finally told you one more very important service, the translate service. In fact, I showed you a demonstration also of that, how to translate text from any language to any other language. Okay. So I showed you the demonstration on that. Translate API web service was available on Google. So Google people has developed that. So like that, many companies have developed some web services and they have made it available using URL. Using URL, what we do is we request these services and we have to pass the parameters. What is the meaning of passing parameters? I have told you that when we type the URL inside the address bar of the browser, we have to mention, for example, if you take the translate web service, to that we have to pass the text that we want to translate, and then we have to pass the parameter of from which language to which language we have to translate this. So then you understood what is the meaning of these parameters. We have to mention these parameters in the URL only somewhere. Okay, so this is how we do web services. And then the data which gets exchanged between a web service and the client who is requesting it is always in the form of either XML or a JSON. Okay, these are the two formats. I gave you introduction to what is the meaning of XML, and I told you that the data that gets exchanged, sending of data and receiving of data from the server, is most of the times, or you can say always, almost always, is done in two very important formats. One is the XML format and the other one is JSON format. We will be learning JSON today. We have already learned what is XML. But still, let me tell you what is XML once again. XML is extensible markup language, which is basically used for interchanging data, exchanging data. If I want to send data from one computer to another computer, or if I want to send, saying it like computer to computer would not be right. If I say that if I want to exchange data between two applications, let us say there is one software application running in one laptop, and I want to send data from this application to another application. Okay, and I want the other application to immediately take this data, retrieve information from it, and process it in some form, put it into the database or do something with it. Okay, let us not discuss about what will happen after the data is received. So when one application or one software, or you can say one program which is running on one computer, wants to send data to another computer in which there is another program running, okay, the best way of exchanging this data is in the form of XML, extensible markup language. Extensible markup language at one time was the standard of exchanging data. Standard means everybody had to use this. They had made standard. If your applications are exchanging data between each other, please use XML. They had made it a standard only. In XML, what is there? In XML, you can create your own tags. Okay, in XML, you can create your own tags. For example, if you want to interchange or exchange data between two computers of students. If you want to exchange students' data between two computers, then you have to construct an XML file in which you can add your own tags. Let there be one main tag called as students. Inside that, there will be one tag again called as student. Inside that student, again, there will be one more tag called as student name, and then inside that the student name will come a slash student name, then USN, one more tag, USN number of the student slash USN. Like that, you know, I can have any number of tags I want to define for a student and whatever data I want to define about the student, and I can construct my XML file, and then I send it to the other side. Now that you have sent it to the other side, you should have facilities to process that. Process in the sense, for example, I want to retrieve the name of the first student. I want to retrieve the name of the first student, or I want to retrieve the US number of the first student. To retrieve this information, to extract this information, to retrieve this information or to extract this information, I need, in any programming language, what I need is I need a library which will help me do this in my program. So like that, remember that in Python, there are libraries available to process XML file. In Python, there are libraries available to process XML file. Not only in Python. If you are planning to write your program in Java also there are libraries to process Python file. Sorry, to process XML files. In Java also you have libraries to process XML files. Similarly, let us say your programming language is C or C++ or .NET. Take any programming language. If you want to process XML file, there are built-in libraries available. Okay, and yeah, this is the structure of the XML file, all that you have seen. And in Python, if you want to process XML file, what is the name of the library? It is xml.etree.elementtree. Okay, so the name of the library which will help you to parse or process or extract or retrieve, whatever you want to say to it. Whatever you want to say to it, if you want to process XML file in Python, this is the library that you have to import in your file, xml.etree.elementtree. And since it's a very big name, I give it a short form. I call it as ET. In my program, whenever I want to use this library, I simply use ET because I have given it an alias like this. Import this as ET. It means I'm giving it a short form. Now let us see how to process this. Very simple. We first have our XML file in the variable data. Remember, data is a simple text, a string variable. So I write data is equals to double quotes. I write person. In person, there is a tag called as name. Inside that is the name of the person. Then phone number. There is a phone number of the person. Then email. Email has started here. There is no ending email, so there is no email. Okay, but still there is a tag. For some people, maybe there is an email ID. So at that time we have to write the email ID here and then slash email like that. But since for this example, for the example of Chuck is the name of the user. For him, there is no email ID, so we have written height is equals to yes. There is nothing here. But then these are all optional. These are height is equals to yes, type is equals to INTL. I told you last time that these are optional. These are put forcefully by the user. Maybe for some application they require that the type also should be there and height also should be there. So that's why they have added this. This is not compulsory. It is up to you people. If you are writing an application and if you want to exchange data from one application to another application, you have the privilege, you have the authority to create your own XML file. You can add any number of tags inside it. You can add any number of attributes like this inside your tags if you require. Normally, I have worked with XML so many times in the industries also when I was there. And then even today I use XML. I have never defined any attributes like this. I have never defined any attributes like that. What I do is I keep very simple. I keep my tags like this. Okay, name is Chuck / name. That's it. I don't put any attributes in between to make it complicated. That is how I work. Okay, that is how I work. It is completely at the discretion of the user how they want to construct their XML file. Now, after you have done this, after you have the data inside the variable data, then you have to load it into the object. So you create an object of the XML tree. So the name of the object is tree is equals to et. Et is the library which is on the top. Et.from string data. So you load your XML. Data is the entire XML now. Load that into a variable called as tree. And now from tree, you extract the data whatever you want. Whatever data you want, you can simply extract it. Tree.find name.text. Tree.find name.text. It is not here, but last time, if you remember, I have written that. If you want to extract the name Chuck, okay, now this entire thing has come into the variable tree. So if you want to extract the name Chuck, you simply do tree.find into bracket like this, name.text. If you do, it will give you the name of the person. If you want to extract the attribute, if you want to extract the attribute of phone, if you want to extract the attribute of phone, and what is phone? Attribute of phone is type, and what is the value assigned to it is INTL. If you want to extract this part, then you have to say tree.find_phone.get type. Type is the name of the attribute. So if you say get type, you will get INTL as the output. So this library here will help us retrieve the text which is between the tags, as well as it will allow us to extract the value that is assigned to the attributes. All the data that is there in the XML file, you can retrieve, use it, process it, print it, whatever you want to do to the data, you can do that. What we have learned here, we have learned how to process, how to parse the XML file. Okay, this we have seen it already in the last class. Now let us go further. I told you that XML files do not always contain only one user information. There can be an XML file which will look like this. Last time also I had written this in my file. I can have a XML file which has the root node called as stuff. Inside that users, inside that first user, okay, that user's ID is there, that user's name is there, and /user. So from here to here is one user. From here to here is one user. Okay, so this user has got an ID, the user has got a name, and then the user has got X value, which is as an attribute, which is not like a tag, which is like an attribute. So a user has got X value in the form of an attribute. The user has got an ID tag, the user has got a name tag. Similarly, there is this another user. From here to here is second user. And you can see that like this, I can add details of any number of users into one XML file. I can add any number of users to my XML file. So XML file does not always carry details about one student or one user or one staff. XML can carry details of any number of users, any number of students. For example, in my database, I have a table, okay? In my database, I have a table called as student, table student. The table student has got attributes like USN, student name, student's date of birth, student's branch, student's semester, student's phone number. Like that, if I have the table columns, if I have a table inside which I have got all these columns, okay? Now, each record of the student, let us say there is a student, okay, called as, let us say, Santosh. Santosh, his US number will be 2mm, and then after that the date of birth will be there, branch will be there, CS, and then the next student, let us say Sachin. So I can convert each record of each student into one user in the XML document, and then I can have another student, another record as another student into my XML document. So like that, I can have my one XML file containing details of multiple students. I will show you that example. So what I'm trying to tell you is that if I have an XML file, the XML file can carry details of any number of, can contain details of any number of people. Now this here, my person's XML file is there. I'll just open this. I'll open this with okay, notepad, no problem. Yeah, you can see it here. You can see it here that I have an XML file, and this XML file contains details of multiple persons. This is the details of first person, this is the details of the second person. The name of the first person is Chuck, the phone number of that person is so and so, the name of the second person is James, and this, the name of the third person is Jack, and this is the phone number of that person, and so on. So this from here to here is one XML file which is containing details of 3 persons. Like this, I can convert. Now, listen to this carefully. This will definitely help you for your career also. In the industries today, whether it is on the web programming or any type of a corporate application when you develop any software, XML plays an extremely important role. And why XML is required is to carry data from one computer to another computer. If I want to send data from one computer to another computer, how will I send it? In one computer, let us say I have a database of all the persons. Person name, person phone number, person name, person phone number. I have a database, I have multiple records. I have, let us say, in my table, records of 10 persons, 10 people. So I convert that into an XML document like this. I take the record of the first person, I take the record of the second person, I take the record of the third person, like that, all the 10 persons, I put it into the tagged persons, root tagged persons, and then I send this XML document to whoever is requesting it. And then once I receive this data from the server, then I can retrieve the details of each person and I can put it into my local database, or I can process it in some way. So remember that XML can be constructed from an entire database table. I have a database table. You already are aware of databases. You know that you can create a table. Inside the table, you can have columns. And then these tables can contain details of multiple people. If you have a table for a student, you can add details of 100 students inside your table. You can add details of 1,000 students into your table. And then these table data, the details of 1,000 students, you can convert it into an XML document. You can convert that into an XML document like this. And you can send it to some other computer, whoever is requiring this database. Okay, so that is the reason why sometimes XML is also called as a floating database. It is also called as a floating database. Okay, because it floats from one computer to another computer. And what is it carrying? It is carrying details of all staff, all these employees, students. So you can add to this XML file details of students, staff, or any other table you take. If there is a transaction table, the XML file can contain transaction details. So finally, you can pass it from one computer to another computer. In the another computer, I can extract the details by using this type of libraries in Python. Okay, and then that's the reason why XML is called as a floating database. Now, in the examination, they may not go into too much of detail. They will not ask you all these things. Okay, as far as your subject is concerned, for you people, they will not ask you all these things. I think I took you a little too further into XML. In fact, all this was not required as far as the subject is concerned. But let me tell you that in the industry, if XML is used only for this purpose. It is used as a floating database. So I thought that since you are already aware of XML, let me just give you a little hint of how this XML is used in the industries. And I'm definitely sure, whether it is the hardware industry or the software industry, web development or testing, XML you will use definitely. Okay, so that one thing you remember. So what I have here is I have an XML file containing details of three persons. The names are Chuck, James, and Jack. Now I want to process this. I want to process this in the sense I want to go step by step. I will not know this XML file now contains details of only 3 people. Okay, I can have an XML file which contains details of even 10 people, or maybe 100 people, or maybe 1,000 people. You never know. So I have to have a strategy to loop through this. I should have a strategy to loop. I should have a strategy to loop through this so that I parse all the persons in the XML file and then retrieve the name and the phone number. Okay, so I will save this. This is the XML file I have. Now I will show you how to process this, how to process multiple users into an XML file. Okay, so this is looping through nodes. Okay, this is looping through nodes, and this is the most important part. If you are working with XML, this you should know. So for that, what we do, we first import. I'll copy this, and then I will paste it into. I will name the file as loopnodes.py. And you saw that what I have here is I imported this as ET, and then I have my XML file. My XML file, the name of that data is input, okay? And then what I have there is stuff. Then the root is users. The root is stuff. Root tag is stuff. Then you have users here. Inside users, you have the first user details, ID, his name, and then slash user. This is the second user from here. His ID is 009. His name is Brent, and then slash user, and then the third user. I think I did not copy one more thing. Slash users, it is okay. I think I am slash users. Okay. So we have Brent. We have Chuck. Yeah, we have only two users right now. Fine, no problem. So this is the file that I have it over there. I have users. Inside this, I have Chuck and I have Brent. Two users only. Okay. So now that I have two users, I want to process this. I want to go tag by tag, and then I want to process it. So how do I do it? I simply, first of all, you know that I okay. So this is my file. This is my Python file to parse through all the nodes. So first, what I do is I import that. I have my input with all the details, and then yeah, this is important. Now what I do is I load, like in the previous example, I had created an object called as tree, but here I create an object called as stuff. Finally, I told you that this is only a variable name. Stuff is a variable name. Previously, it was tree. Okay, so I call it as stuff, which is an object of that tree. So stuff is equals to et.from string input. What is input? Input is the entire XML document which is here. So you can see this input. Input is here, and that comes there. Instead of input, I'll write data here. Don't get confused. Okay, so data is this XML file, and then I load that into my stuff object. Then what I do is I take stuff. Stuff is nothing but that object dot find all. There is a method called as find all. It's the method called as find all. And then if I say stuff dot find all inside the user's main tag. What is the main tag? The root tag. The root tag is, I will show you that. The root tag is users. The root tag is users. Inside that you have users. Inside that you have users. Okay. So inside users slash user, if you say that, now lst is equals to stuff.find all users slash user. It will create a list. It will create a list. And you know what is meaning of a list? A list is just like an array. Each element of the list is now a node. That is user node. Each element of the list is a user node, and that node contains two other nodes, ID node and name node. Okay, user from here to here, from here to here. Yeah, from here, user x is equals to 2, ID is equals to 001, name is equals to check slash user. From here to here is one element of the list. Then the second element of the list is from here to slash user. From here to here is the second user, second item of the list. Second item of the list is from there to there. So remember that this find all function will break the XML document into a list, and then it will give you back an array. It will give you back a list, and each element of the list is the user node. And this each user node will contain an ID node and a name node. And that I'm going to pass through now. You know that I can pass through elements of the list. So when I do for item in list, I will pass through all the elements of the list. So now you can see for item in list, if I pass what is the name, item dot find name dot text, item dot find into bracket name dot text. So that items find the name node, name tag of that, take the text and display it, print. I'm simply displaying it right now. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm printing items name dot text. Similarly, I want to display the ID of that node of that tag. So I say print item dot find ID dot text. And finally, if I say print attribute, if I want to print the attribute, the X value of that node, so item dot get X, okay, when I do, it will display me the value of that item, attribute X. Okay, so this is how what we have learned here is we have learned how to parse through the entire XML document and then display the details of the XML document. Okay, so now we have it here. I will execute this program and show it to you. Save this, file save. I go to the command prompt. Loop nodes.py, enter. Saying there is some error here. It says line 2, there is an error. What is it saying? Invalid syntax, it is saying. Yeah, invalid syntax it will definitely say, because again there are double quotes here. No, that's why. So replace them with single quotes. Okay, now I think I've done it correctly. There were double quotes inside double quotes, so it will get confused now from where the string is starting and where it is ending. So I replace them with single quotes. I save. I go back to my execute, and so you can see user count is 2. First I displayed how many users are there. The first name is Chuck, his ID is 001 and attribute value is 2. Second user name is Brent, ID is 009 and attribute is 7. So you can see that it displayed me the name of the person, the ID of that person, and the attribute value of that person. Similarly, the second person's name, attribute, and the ID value displayed me because of these 3 things. For example, if I copy from here to here, if I copy from here to here, I copy the details of first user, okay, Control C, and then I paste it here, Control V, I paste it, okay, I paste it, and then I write here, let us say, some name, or Santosh, let us say, and the ID I will change it to 100, okay, and X value will change it to 5, X value will change it to 5, ID change it to, so now I have details of 3 people. I have details of 3 people. I have 3 nodes, details of 3 people. Okay, and then I saved it, file save, and then if I execute the program, I will clear the screen first, and then I will execute this. So you can see that first name is Santosh, his ID is 100, attribute is 5. Name is Chuck, ID is 1, attribute is 2. Name is Brent, ID is 009, attribute is 7. So you can see that I am able to parse through all the users in the XML file. Even if now there are details of 100 users, it will display me the details of 100 users because I am taking a loop. I am taking a loop. First, I extracted all the nodes into a list. I first extracted all the nodes into a list, and then I passed through the list. For each node in list, then I pass through it, and then that node's name I displayed, that node's ID I displayed, that node's attribute I displayed. Then in the second iteration, the second node will be taken into consideration, its name, ID, and X value will be displayed. Like that, till all the nodes in the user's file is displayed, it will not stop. The loop will continue, and then finally, when all the nodes are over, it will stop. So this is how we loop through all the users, all the nodes in an XML document. In XML document, this is how we pass through all the nodes. Okay, let me take one more example. Okay, let me take one more example, and here I will construct my XML document. So what I have here is I have my own XML document. I thought I will create a root node called as MMEC. Then inside that, let me have one more tag called as all. Inside all, I thought let me have one more called as student. Okay, and then this the student. Just hang on, 1 minute, only 1 minute. Okay. So last 3-4 minutes remaining, but I will execute this and show it to you. What I will do is so I have details of all these students. Okay, so this is S1, S3, S4, and S5. Okay, so let us say I have details of 5 students. Only one tag is there right now, but I can have multiple also. You know, I can have one more called as VSN and all that I can have, but let me have only one right now. So I will save this. I will save this in student details.xml. Okay, student details.xml. I will save it like that. Student details.xml, and I save it in the same folder. You can see that it has come here. Student details.xml. Yeah, I think now I can directly read this file into my Python. I don't have to actually, or else, yeah, just let me change this program a little bit. Instead of doing this, do you understand what I'm doing? What I'm doing is instead of pasting the XML document into a string variable here, let it be in that XML file only. I'm reading that file using the open function, and then let me read it into the variable data is equals to handle dot read. Okay, I'll comment that. I'll comment that. What does this mean? When you put a hash in front of it, it's commenting. Okay, it means it is commenting. I think time is up, less than 1 minute. I'll still try to execute this. Users, no, I have all, and then inside this I have student. Inside this, since I have only one, R is not defined. R is not defined because of this. User count is 0 because it is not able to find this word. I'll do one thing. I'll type this program and keep it ready. In the next class, I will show you. This same example I will show you. And then in the next class,